we are approaching nearer to the Paschal mystery, which we will celebrate in Holy Week. The first few days of the fourth week of Lent, Jesus was portrayed as a life giver. He brought people to life. In contrast, we find the enemies of Jesus wanting to put him to death. My dear brothers and sisters, we see the beginning of hostility in the life of Jesus. The hostility gets more and more fierce over the days until it will end in his death. The persecution of Jesus is not new to us as well, because as Christians, we are always persecuted. From the beginning of the founding of Christianity, from our Master, our Lord Jesus Christ, the primitive Christians, during time of the Roman Empire, Christians have always been persecuted. This persecution has not ended. Even today, we find that Christian teachings are being questioned by many people in the world. Christianity promotes the culture of life. Christianity promotes authentic living, strong family life, strong marriages. Yet all these are being challenged by the world today. The world opposes the gospel values. What are the reasons? The first reason, as we are told in today's first reading from the Book of Wisdom, the godless say to themselves with their misguided reasoning. The truth is that many people, if they are against the Catholic faith and the gospel, many of them are actually ignorant. They are sincere but ignorant. We cannot blame such people because they have all kinds of information today. From the mass media, social media, so much things to read in the internet. So much so that people are confused. Today, it is very difficult for the ordinary man and woman to know what is truth, what is right, what is wrong, because you get messages from everywhere. And all these messages, a lot of half-truths, distorted truth. Very few people will verify whatever they read. Most people will just take it wholesale because we don't have the time to verify every information we received. And so it is true. Catholic teachings have often been misrepresented. And of course, sometimes by our own Catholics as well. We are also a cause of this confusion. And because people misunderstand what we are teaching, why we believe certain things, then of course, these people, they are misled. But there is another group of people who are opposing the gospel simply because we are a reprimand to their way of life. And that is what they said. In the first reading again, we are told not only they are misled, but many of them precisely because the author said, we are a reproof to their way of thinking. Our very sight will weigh their spirit down because our life is not their way of life. So it's their lifestyle that is being challenged. And of course, today, in the world of relativism, no one wants to be seen as doing something that is not right. Everybody is normal. No one is abnormal. No one is doing the wrong thing. And so when their lifestyle is being challenged by the gospel, it is natural for them to defend themselves, to react. Then there is a third group of people who are opposed to the gospel. This group of people, they want to normalize what is irregular. They want to normalize same-sex marriage, transgender. They want to normalize drug addiction, drug consumption. They want to normalize euthanasia, abortion, even to the last day in the womb of the mother. So that people cannot say something is wrong. And that is the truth. Today the world wants to change the larger community, the way we look at life, so that after some time, the larger community, if you subscribe to a particular viewpoint, you will be the abnormal one. So this is why the gospel is being opposed. People want to normalize evil today. Then there is the fourth group of people. These are the people that are the most dangerous. These are the people that are malicious. As the book of wisdom tells us, they do not know the hidden things of God. They have no hope that holiness will be rewarded. And so these people, they want to destroy humanity because of selfishness. It's all about themselves. My pleasure now, my happiness, I want my desires to be fulfilled. Those of us who are advocating moral relativism, those of us who are advocating materialism, we have to ask ourselves, whatever we do in life, is it just for ourselves here and now? Or do we think of the future of humanity? Do we care for our family? Do we care for strong marriages in the future? Do we care for children that are brought up in family with holistic formation? Do we care for the country that people will be generous, that we support each other? Actually, strictly speaking, there is no poor in this world. It's the rich that are grabbing everything for themselves. You know, if you read the reports, every year so much food is wasted. And the food could have supported 800 million of people. The amount of food we throw away. There is no poor. It is selfishness. It is about ourselves. But you know, my dear brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, let us not blame the world. Let us not think that we are always being attacked by the world. I think the greatest obstacle in living the gospel, in proclaiming the gospel, is not because people are opposed to the gospel. The real problem is we as Catholics. We are counter witnesses. We are not true to what we believed in. We lack integrity of faith and life. That is why today, again, in the first reading, what did the enemy said? He says, let us see what he says is true. Let us observe what kind of end he himself will have. He calls himself the Son of God. He claims to have knowledge of God. That is what we do. We claim we are children of God. We claim to have knowledge of God. But do we walk the way of truth? Look at the scandals in the church today. The scandals of pedophilia. The cover-up of authorities. All these have caused us to lose credibility. So it's not because the world does not agree with us in the first place, because the world has no more confidence in us. Because we are not credible. So we actually the cause of our own downfall, not our enemies. In fact, our enemies make us stronger. Because if they are truly our enemies, we will come together, we will have greater faith. But because we ourselves lack faith, we ourselves are not united in faith. We are not convinced of our faith. We just pay lip service. We are children of God. We are sons of God. But we don't live that kind of life. That's why today in the gospel we have Jesus. He knew himself. He said, you do not know where I come from. I know. I know I have come from him. And it was he who sent me. Jesus was conscious of his identity as the Son of God. He was conscious of his mission. And that was the reason why the Lord was not afraid to stand up against his enemies. My dear brothers and sisters, if we want to walk that way of truth and life, if we want to claim ourselves to be children of God, then this is what we are called to do, to be authentic in our faith, imitating Jesus, our Lord.